first of all, thanks for joining us on the stage. We did have a nice chat behind the scenes. But let's start with you, Katie, because you've had a very difficult year, crashing just at the wrong time, but there's a bit of the year still to go, we're heading into the track season. How the devil are you?
Yeah, how the devil am I? Yeah, I'm very well now, and not just from all the coffee and the bright lights. I think a sincere sense of excitement for the second part of last quarter of the season, and something to take a bite out of.
Are you ready? Because you're competing next week in Paris, aren't you?
Yeah, we fly out for what becomes quite an important part of the year for me, as Track Champions League. So, I mean, I feel like I have to hype myself up because you've got to go in confident, don't you? That's the only way
it's important.
To approach a start line, is how I feel. You have to turn up wanting to win. Whether I'm capable is TBC, but that's the desire.
Well, it's good to see you back and fighting fit. And Emma, you've had an amazing year.
Thank you.
You've had an amazing couple of years. You're still very young, of course. Double world champion, Olympic champion as well. And big smile on your face. I know we have spoken before about it, and you've given endless interviews, understandably. But what's it like settling into life as an Olympic champion and heading into a new Olympic cycle as well?
It's pretty crazy, considering Paris was my first Olympics, and obviously you go to an Olympic Games wanting to win and wanting to come away on top, but you never really know how it's going to unfold because there's a pressure involved, there's other athletes involved, you don't know where the rest of the world is, and coming away on the top set with the girls was insane, and it was a huge thing we'd been working towards, and to actually achieve that for your home country in front of my family and friends was the best day of my life, to be honest. And it's something I wish I could bottle up and keep forever. And then going away and winning 2 world titles off the back of that was really tough, but it's something that I really, really dug deep for and wanted to do. So this year I didn't think it would get any better than 2023, and obviously going to the Olympics and coming away with a gold and 2 bronze was insane. I just want to build on top of that for LA, but 4 years is a long time, so we've got a few more things in between, but it's been insane.
Katie, you've obviously won gold medals over 2 Olympic cycles. How did you cope with that? I mean, you'd been obviously massively successful beforehand, but finally getting that gold, what changed in you, and how did your life change? Was it just something that you ticked off and moved on? Did you have any time to reflect? Because we do hear that. We hear part of the proceeds, you move on, but outside of cycling, the Olympics is the biggest thing that there is, and for everybody here, it's like amazing. We want to see your medals and stuff like that and get a sense of what it's like, but how did that change things for you personally?
There's definitely a big difference between my Rio experience and my Tokyo experience. In Rio, I was holding on to the coattails of the team around me. I was part of the best team in the world, and I was following others' leads and really just scrapping to try and make selection for that team. And I'm quite proud of what I contributed, but it was as a cadet being told what to do. In 2017, I won the Omnium World title, and that felt very different. This was essentially a project that I'd driven, a sort of phenomenal opportunity to be the Omnium rider. And I lay in bed, I can really put myself in there, I lay in bed, totally awake because my teammate, she was racing the next day, and so it had to be lights out, and I'm full on, just thinking, this is going to change my life forever. There was the me of yesterday, and there's the me of tomorrow, and it's different. And I was wrong. It just wasn't different at all. It was one bike race, and it meant a lot. And there are certainly things about my identity that have been defined by my career and the full journey of it. But it's never been one race.
What about yourself? How have you changed? You obviously have enjoyed it, and you're moving into cycle number 2. But do you feel you've changed as a person, or are you a bit like Katie? It's just, well, actually, I'm the same, but because things have changed. But how do you perceive that?
Similar to Katie, I think, after winning that gold medal and even the 2 bronze, I remember I put them under my pillow and I woke up and I was like, this is the best thing ever, and thinking, how would life be afterwards, because you hear all these stories, and it is pretty cool, like you do get more opportunities and people maybe know you a little bit more and you have a bit more of a platform to have a voice on, and I think that's what really excites me. I can use the platform I have to inspire young girls and things like that, but I guess it's how you perceive success, and as long as you're proud and happy, then that's how you'll go really far in your career, because yes, everyone else noticed that you won the Olympics, but as long as you're proud of that. My life hasn't changed massively. I've just had loads more opportunities, which I've really enjoyed. I've done things really out of my comfort zone, and yeah, I think that's what's exciting about performing on that stage, is where you go next.
I mean, outside of the sport, because you do continue through, the Olympic cycle's long, it takes up all of your life, but what about the media side of it, doing things like this? Like, Katie, for you, did you actually enjoy that part, or was it something you took in your stride, or did it take a bit of time to adapt to it? Do you still like it? Are you comfortable on the stage? You seem pretty comfortable, because it's something there is a certain obligation as Olympic champions, world champions, to do this sort of stuff, but do you actually enjoy it? You can tell me the truth, it's fine.
Do you know what the problem is? When I'm enjoying it, you're probably saying something that you shouldn't. That's the big issue. And I think I'm definitely guilty of using it as therapy sometimes.
Right.
Very few people are so regularly reflecting on themselves, their achievements, their career, their sense of self. There's so many things that I've worked out with you, with Telegraph journalists, with Zoom calls and things, that it's only when the words are coming out your mouth you're like, yeah, I guess that's a bit of a breakthrough, Doc. And you're like, no, hold on. It's like, so, yeah, I need to temper myself. Let's not try and have too good a time. I'll get in trouble.
And what about the media side for you? Because we were at Eurosport back in the summer, pretty much fresh off.
Yeah.
I think the medal, you actually had the medal around your neck. So do you enjoy the media spotlight? I mean, you seem to have taken to it. You speak very well. I mean, there's no sign of any nerves. Is it something that you embrace, or is it something that you just like to get done and get back on the bike?
3 years ago, if you'd asked me to do this, I probably would have said no, because I was really shy. I hated being put on the spot or asked questions I didn't really know answers to. And I think throughout my career, I've definitely learned you'll have more cameras on you, you'll have more interviews, and I've definitely learned to find my way in terms of the story I want to tell or how I want to be perceived. And I've definitely learned through it, and I've made many mistakes, and sometimes I have been shy or embarrassed, but yeah, it's definitely something that the more you do, the better you get. And yeah, today, it's really daunting sometimes being in front of so many people, but I've definitely learned that, yeah, obviously to speak my mind, and it's definitely helped me grow my confidence the more I've done it. So yeah, I do enjoy it. I do actually really enjoy it.
I mean, when you look at the success across the board on the track over the last 15 years, the success level is ridiculous. There's been peaks and troughs, but generally we continue perpetually successful as a team and as individuals. We've got multiple Olympic champions, world champions. Do you ever talk about that amongst the team? I mean, there's obviously there's the training aspect, there's the focus on the disciplines themselves, but do you ever have, as a collective unit on camps or whatever, a chance to talk about that sort of stuff? Do you kind of share those experiences and think, is there like pinch me moments? Like, you're doing this job, but then from the outside, well, what you're doing is amazing. You're up on this kind of pedestal, but you're just regular folks. But do you ever talk about that as a team? Do you learn from each other, or do you give advice?
I wish Laura was here. I would try and embody Laura Kenny as I give the answer. Laura Kenny. Because we've been in a sort of conference room just like this with a performance director who said, I'm aspiring to make us the greatest sports team of all time. And she sat there sort of fizzing, going, we already are. We already are. And comes out with a big of how you can have longevity and as long as I've been part of the British Cycling Track Programme, every interview that I've done has started with will this be the end of the run? Because they've come, so I started working with the team in 2013. Notice
I didn't say that, by the way.
Oh, okay, maybe I just heard it.
Yeah.
I'm so used to and that's this idea of being attached to metrics and what does it reflect, and what's the reason that you're aspiring to greatness. And I think that's sort of betrayed in what you're talking about of what do you use their platform for, what does it reflect about your own sense of attainment and what's driving you to that success. And I think all of the great sports teams, so the ones that come up are your All Blacks, GBCT. I think there's probably two commonalities, and one is the constant need to rebuild, to sort of break down, restructure. And the other is that the intrinsic drive of wanting to do it because it's what you love to do. And so I think you do get in a bit of a muddle if you reflect too much of we're pretty good, huh? And we're guilty of it. For sure we're guilty of it. But I don't think that actually feeds to success itself, that reflection.
And you talk about the breaking things down and building again to the next Olympic cycle, because it is ridiculously competitive, and staying ahead of the curve, making sure that the team are doing everything right. I mean, can you just explain, because I guess for you, Emma, you're Olympic champion and you're in that kind of breakdown phase, although and you've got, 3.5 years to go. It's going to come around pretty quick, LA, isn't it? But what does that breakdown phase look like? Is that analysing what you've done, or is it looking at changing certain methods? Because obviously the sport is evolving at an increasingly rapid pace. It's almost like a finite point, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got this rapid progression, but also there's only so fast a bike can go, you could argue. So, I don't know, you're chasing this vanishing point. So what does the deconstruction bit look like for you? How much analysis have you done, or have you looked at in terms of this phase?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Obviously, leading up to the games, I kind of knew I was going to the games maybe a year and a half, 2 years out. So I've never done a 4-year cycle, which is really exciting. And we've currently spoken, actually within the last week, to my coaches and my support team about the analysis of the Olympics and where we can find small improvements and how the racing was. And like you said, our bikes are, like our Hope bike looks crazy right now. It doesn't even look like a bike anymore. And for sprinters, we're finding really small margins. We could win or lose by a tyre width, and that could be the bike, that could be physical performance. So it's really interesting. I think it's really good to go back to the drawing board, analyse all the racing and things like that, and then move forward. So for the next 3 years, we'll go back to square one, find where I need to improve physically on the bike and off the bike, and then rebuild towards the Olympics. But I'm really excited to develop off the bike, develop on the bike, find those marginal gains, but it might be two steps forward, 2 steps back, 1 step forward. But we'll see. And it's a really interesting period of time that I'm looking forward to.
What phase, Katie, of that process do you, because you've been through a couple of cycles now, you're embarking on another one, what part of the phase do you like the most? Or are you more focused on the physical side? Does the tech side of it interest you? Do you get involved in that much? Where's the balance for you? Where's the bit that you really enjoy when you're trying to find something, find gains basically? Yeah. What part of that landscape? Because there's so many areas. And some can be quite dry, which you kind of almost lead to others to worry about. Are you across it all, or do you like certain parts of that?
You know, it's funny. So I'm studying school level biology and chemistry at the moment.
Okay.
It's like this basic qualification that will give me a chance. If I wanted to apply to university, this is what I would need to do. Okay. Right? And it's really dry. And this morning, I was just in a sort of dream state, and I started thinking about the World Championships that have just passed, and I realized that Ali Wollaston was 9th in the scratch race. I don't know why I was thinking this. I went over to I was late actually to meet the person I was meeting to make it here this morning, because I started fiddling with my spreadsheet that I've got of the top 10 championships of the past 7 years, and turns out that this is the first time that somebody has won a major championships omnium and not been in the top 2 in the scratch race, right? And it's something that is, I know it sounds a bit boring, right?
It's quite niche. It's quite a niche stat.
Yeah.
Very niche.
I mean, but keep going.
But I jumped out of bed, and I'm like, oh, I need to check, and I'm doing this, and then I'm like, oh, and I've not filled in this part of and I'm like, I'm getting away. And I'm really so passionate about it and so interested by it, and it was really in my face of like, you don't care about biology at all. Because I'm struggling so much with this study, and I don't struggle like that because I love the sport so much. All the boring stuff becomes exciting too, because it's part of this goal that you're driven by. And also a lot of it is the team that you have fun with. That stands out so much to me, that the areas of my career that flourish, a lot of the time it's because I really like working with the physiologist. I really like the person that runs R&I, I've started neglecting nutrition because it's this guy that I don't really gel with. So, and I think that applies to anybody's workplace, that you achieve so much when you're having a good time whilst you're doing it. And I guess when you really care about that end goal. And that's the fortunate situation that I've ended in, that I've got these things.
The team.
Yeah, a brilliant team to be part of.
And what are you most looking forward to, Emma, this next phase? Because you're of an age, I mean, not that we can't say the same about Katie, but you're at different points of your career in terms of...
So rude.
No, you know what I mean? No, you're young. It's quite rude, but I mean...
Said it now.
But no, because from a maturing perspective, like naturally...
It's getting worse.
No. Right, I'm going to go.
I'm loving this.
Turing, right. What are you looking forward to the most?
Full stop.
Full stop. Oh, God.
What am I looking forward to most? I think I'm looking forward to finding the small advantages in our sport. And I'm really starting to learn the technical side, like what you said, like working with people. Usually I'm the type of rider that you'll give me the bike and I'll just ride and I'll just do my best, whereas now the sport's evolving. There's so much more technology to it, and I'm really excited to learn how things are made or how to best use the physiologist or the nutritionist to my advantage. And I think I've learned something from you especially, is to be one of the best. Like for you, you've definitely taken your own path in terms of using everyone around you to be like the role, like the boss, I guess, of your own career. And I really want to be like that. I want to drive the train and really understand my own career. And yes, it's going to take a long time, but I think I'm excited to mature and grow up and understand my sport a bit more and find the marginal games, but be involved in that and be more on side with it rather than being told what to do. And that's fine, because I was younger, and when I grew up I kind of was a sponge and needed to know what to do. But as I'm growing up, and I want to be the CEO of my own career, so that's something I'm really excited to try and drive. But it will take time, and that's something I'm excited to try and start and get involved in.
I won't put my foot in it again.
Well, I have a...
She's ready to speak.
Well, because you are so young.
Yeah.
So the winter 2022, we were both racing track Champions League together, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be the first time that I have exposure to this young kid, Emma Finucane.
Terrible.
And
yeah, classic.
And you were considering surgery on your knee at the time, right? And I remember saying to me, she's like, oh, well, I might have this surgery, but if we just leave it, I can push through to Paris. And I don't know if I've told you this, but I kind of thought, like, kid, you're not going to go to the Olympics. Like,
yeah, no, I literally thought the same thing.
Yeah, and 8 months later, she was world champion.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And I was getting,
like
pumped in this racing. I remember I was coming last.
But you were, like, 12 years old.
Yeah.
It's just that when you have the kind of talent that Emma has, the people around you knew it. They understood it. Because they can see, like, they've seen these progressions and they know how good you are. And I guess they know your character and the way that you can apply yourself, and they can see, like, that it can go like that. But when you're too far away and you're just looking at this part of the trend, like I was at the time, I'm like, have the surgery. I don't know what you're like.
I'm glad I didn't have the surgery.
But the thing that I think it should give you confidence of, and what I was going to say actually in answer to your first question, is that nothing's more reassuring than recognizing the mistakes that you've made.
Yeah.
Because there's so much ceiling space, there's so much room to grow. And the best example that I think I cling to this all the time is that Kirstenville, the Dutch rider, been one of the best in the world for years and years and years. And then age 34, she has like the season of her life, totally dominates that year's world championships.
She was great on the road as well, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was great on the road, too. So she decided she was going to like really knuckle down on the track focus towards Tokyo. She's just winning like world title after world title. Everything's going flawlessly. And I'm like, she's already been here. And she found the next level, and she found it at 34. And that she's like an idol of mine. But see, when you're as young as you are, there's so many things to mine, and there'll be so many mistakes to make that you can keep like progressing on it.
Yeah.
And I'm the same. I'm still making loads of mistakes, so there's still plenty of headroom.
Just the way you were talking there, it's really interesting, the way you were addressing Emma. It suggests to me that there's quite you've got a natural kind of nurturing side to you. You're analytical and nurturing as well. And I know you're thinking about the here and now and about getting some more world championships and some, more importantly, Olympic medals. But are you thinking about beyond the sport? Are you thinking about what you might do? Has that entered your thoughts? And you're studying biology or looking at the initial stages of ultimately going to university? So you clearly, to me, not on first impressions, because I know you reasonably well, you're moving into some sort of coaching role and looking after the youngsters who are coming in. Is that something you're kind of...
Yeah, great.
You got a big smile on your face, because you clearly, is that something you've thought of?
I like to medal. Is that what I do like?
You like to medal. Medal with 2 Ds.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No, definitely. My entire career has been defined by being a team member. That's like a huge part of the whole British cycling program is underpinned by our team pursuit team, and that has opened every opportunity for me. And even the successes I've had as an Omnium rider have all been rooted in what I can do as part of a team. And so I know that whatever's in the future, I think that needs to be a sort of vital part of it. And when I do get excited about Olympic projects, I guess I do think, or I do understand that I would probably enjoy it as much on the other side of the fence. I've had the odd bit of exposure to that, where if I'm not racing, I'll be on the phone with a teammate, and you get the same high off it.
Yeah.
You really do, and to be able to share your passion with somebody, because it's another teammate, a coach. It's somebody that you're still on the start line with, and I do really love it. But the sort of the catch-22 is that when you're loving it, you want to stay there as a rider, and when you're hating it, aka thinking of retirement, you want out the whole scene. You're like, I can't cope. I don't want to be immersed in this. So maybe there is a point where you sort of understand that a bit better in the future. But I'm not there yet.
Emma, can you just describe what it's like? We talk about the process. We talk about these 4 years a part of an Olympic cycle, just on a day-to-day basis. How actually intrusive is this process? I mean, we kind of have almost thinking about you guys just locked away somewhere in this big kind of a lot of apartment blocks, just like, you know.
Fallowfield.
Yeah. So, but what is it like? Because you obviously have to be near the track. You have to be near all the coaches. I mean, because it's not, you can't just go and ride on the road for a week and then come back. I'm just intrigued to, how intrusive is that? And can you just give us a typical day and how many points of contact there might be with a coach, for example? I mean, because there's clearly a lot going on. There's so many elements that you've already touched on. What's it like? Give us a sense of it.
Yeah, so as a track sprinter, I can't live too far away from the velodrome. So for me, I live in Manchester, and we kind of live 25 minutes from the track, which I don't go out on the road. So for me, I basically live at the velodrome. That's where the gym is, that's where the track is. And I guess a typical day for me would be gym 9 till 11, lifting weights, getting stronger, and then we'd have our lunch, go for coffee, maybe speak to my coach. And then I do a track session at 2 till 5 at the same venue. And it's great. It's literally all in one place, which I think is amazing for performance. But I don't really see much daylight in that day because I'm working really hard in the gym, and then we'll just go straight to the track. And that's kind of my day-to-day pretty much. That's what I do 3-4 times a week. And I think I've learned to love the routine, love the side of having to perform in the gym and on the track. And yes, I'd love to go out on the road maybe a little bit more to get that different environment, but I've learned that as a track sprinter, I need to be strong in the gym and I need to do efforts on the track, and that's kind of how performance is driven. So it is pretty same, but I've learned to love it. I've learned to do things outside of the sport, which I think is really important. I think balance, in terms of being here for a long time, you need to have balance in your life, and that's something I'm exploring now. As early on in my career, I need the importance of, yes, you're a track cyclist, you're an athlete, but I'm Emma off the bike, and what does that look like? And explore things like maybe going into interviewing or social media, and but it's pretty much my drive up and down I think it's the M60 every day for me, which I don't not love.
You don't not love?
Yeah.
That's an interesting phrase. I don't not love it. So I love it. There's some tension, a slight tension, but that's right. You're working hard, aren't you?
Yeah.
You know, when
it's
you're
hard
working hard, there is always tension, and that's what gives it. That's what because it's separate, it's different. There's commitment there, and sometimes commitment is hard. Yep. But thinking about that, and obviously you do a similar thing, although you're more broader in terms of the disciplines that you do, Katie. What's your escape from that? Because you do need to escape. You do need to be yourself. You do need to try and strike that balance. So what lights up your world aside from that? What do you like to busy yourself with? What are you into, apart from sort of low-level biology or intimate or entry-level biology? Yeah,
this is one of those high-pressure questions because it really reflects who you are.
It does. Get deep here. It's what the people have paid the big bucks for.
I hate these questions.
I'm just going to reflect slightly.
Okay.
Reflect. I did an interview and they asked me that question of like, so tell us about Katie off the bike.
Yes.
And I said, well, actually, I really like the bike. I do a lot of I wish I could ride my mountain bike more. And I do a lot of video analysis in my free time and I watch a lot of the racing. Like, I really love it, right? And then you'll notice that you have to do like a B-reel where the camera interviews the interviewer. And so she was just doing the questions and then she would mimic my reply back to me.
Yeah.
And so she does the question and she goes like, oh, I don't do anything off the bike, I just like cycling. And I was like, that's not what I said. Is that what I said? Like really faced with the truth of So that was quite a few months ago, and you think I would have worked on myself by now. But I really like the sport.
That's bitterly disappointing. No, it's not. No, it is, because it's all encompassing. But if you thing is, you have to find joy in the sport, otherwise you couldn't do it. And there's so much stuff. There's so many interesting elements to it. You can immerse yourself in it and find joy.
There's so many interesting elements to the rest of life.
But there is as well.
Great question. Well, I really like music. I really like movies. Let's talk about our favorite bands. I don't know, but yeah, I guess I have escape. But it's not everybody's fortunate enough to love what they do as a job, to love what they get paid for.
Yeah.
And it means that you can't moan about it. I miss that. You know, my dad doesn't think I have a job. He's like, well, no, I pay to go and do what you do, so don't come to dinner and complain. You know. So I guess that's my hobby, is fitting in when I can moan about something that you should be eternally grateful for.
Yeah. I'd like to kind of end the interview with that. I can't really top that, but we've got 2 minutes left. So you guys are used to working within tight time constraints, the disciplines on the track. We've got 1 minute and 46 seconds. I'm going to ask you one rapid fire question each. What part of what you do, Emma, do you love the most? And you've got half of that time on there. So you've got about 45 seconds.
What do I love the most? I think the thrill of riding fast at the track. And I like to say, like, performing, like dancing around the track, racing my bike, performing on a world stage. I also love thriving under pressure. I've learned to love that. So yeah, I keep saying it's something like it's strange that we love riding around in circles and like have an obsession with it, but honestly it's the best thing, and I'd tell anyone here to try and get on a bike and give track a go, because yeah, it's so thrilling.
Great answer. You got 1 minute.
We got a bit. I was quick there. Yeah, that was quick.
Just a minute. Vance with the team, hands down. I got into cycling because there was a group of people I wanted to hang out with, and I could get in a van and travel around the country with them. And I'm still into cycling because I like turning up to track sessions and having fun with the team. Like, hands down, I know that so clearly, that that's what I enjoy. And I don't want to do it if we're not having a good time. And like, I take it seriously. I've got high ambitions, but I do want to laugh whilst we're doing it. That doesn't mean make a joke of what's, our hopes and dreams. But the fact that I can share that with somebody means everything to me.
And that's why we're all here, because we love the sport. Cycling's hard, it's brutal, but it's so ridiculously rewarding. And I first jumped on a bike because I wanted to hang out with my mates and have fun. And you need that at the entry level of the sport, just having fun, whatever your ambition is, right the way through to being Olympic champions as well. So guys, you're going to continue to win more rainbow bands and Olympic medals in the future. I know it. You've been brilliant. You've been wonderful. You're utter inspiration. Ladies and gents, put your hands together for Emma and Katie.